the boss of this channel that I am, I have decided to reclaim my territory by doing this stream today because I realized that I tend to vent and whine and bitch and complain a lot about how time is generally wasted and how I waste a lot of time myself. I know I have discussed this in the past, but I was able to think of some things that I haven't mentioned before. So, some of the things that I may repeat, I may try to elaborate further on or just simply see where this goes. So, one of the things that I have mentioned before, I am sure that are a complete waste of time, have to be traffic jams. And the older I get, the less patient I am. And unfortunately, that also means that more people are out there driving, and I don't tolerate it as well because a lot of people who do drive happen to be impatient themselves. And it's because maybe we all collectively realize just how much time is being wasted by being stuck in a traffic jam. But that doesn't make it okay for you to become reckless in the name of saving a few seconds. Because then you might do something stupid and cause an accident, and then you have to waste even more time and spend money resolving some issues that your decisions to not wait may have the consequence of. Another thing that I consider a waste of time that I'm sure I have mentioned before, that video games are a waste of time, but I think that movies are a waste of time, especially if they're fictional. I'm not saying that you cannot learn anything from them because a lot of fictional works have good themes to them, but when I think about it, I wonder why it is that I feel compelled to invest time on something that helps me escape from my current reality. What about my current reality is so overwhelming that I want to indulge in something that's going to take my mind off the present? I think that's kind of silly. And when I think about all the time that I waste, hours worth wasted watching movies that I could have invested doing things that I keep putting off, such as, I don't know, cleaning my car, cleaning around the house, and all those things that I claim to not have time for, then I know that my time management is troublesome. It's not as good as it could be. And I like to find refuge in things that not only is the activity sedentary, but it also just occupies my mind in ways that I shouldn't even want to be occupied, you know? And then, since I mentioned video games, the reason I think video games are a waste of time are for that reason, the productivity that it snatches me from. And I understand that playing games has its benefits, like when you're entertained, it may help boost your mood, especially if you're someone who's susceptible to stuff like stress and depression. I can see how that's beneficial because when I was a teen, I don't even have memories of me going out and hanging out and doing fun stuff. Like, I wasn't a beach goer, I didn't do any of that. My youth has practically been wasted about for around four walls, you know, especially with how much stuff I consume from within these four walls, but I'm not out there exploring and making connections and whatnot. I only feel bad about it when I critically think about the consequences that this may have in the future. But when I think about it, I'm thinking I could be out there getting in trouble, spending money recklessly, just doing things that may set me back on certain things. So if I can be home, chilling, and investing my time in something that may not be productive or beneficial to society, but at least I'm not hurting anybody, I like to count that as a victory because at some point I feel like I am deserving of some time to just spend doing something that doesn't demand effort. Because I know that when I go to work, I work fucking hard. And I feel like I must reward that somehow. If being out and spending money and doing all these things is not something that really draws my attention, why would I feel guilty about investing it in the form of time. As opposed to spending money, I like to spend time doing something that at least it's entertaining and I find it intriguing. Even if sometimes I'm like, damn, I regret the fact that I spent so much time doing this unproductive thing. But, anyways, hey Garuda, king of this channel. But yeah, when it comes to video games and movies, I understand that deep down they are a waste of time, but I like to think of them in a positive way, which is someone took the time and effort to produce this work. They got paid for it, which I don't get paid for consuming it, of course, because the idea is to produce something for you to consume. And you, as the consumer, you're the one who's funding this stuff. You're the one who's paying for it. Why should I, the consumer, be paid for consuming this? Unless you have some kind of like sponsorship, then that would make sense. But it's just that after a certain point, and you hit a stage, at least this is what's happened to me. I'm hitting a stage where I'm realizing that I need to be wise about how I invest my time. So that's why sometimes I tell myself, ooh, I cannot do things that consume my time when I should be productive to better my life. And then perhaps if I succeed at bettering my life, then that's when I should consider these things to help me pass the time. But I'm trying to not be as harsh on myself about it. It's okay to have fun and do things that aren't necessarily productive, but sometimes I want to be hard on myself for not being productive and instead investing my time in movies and video games, just to put it out there. And of course, the classic time waster is standing in line. A part of me wants to be grateful at the fact that we have so much stuff now that helps us skip lines. Like you can order your food ahead, you can pay for your bills online. I remember a time when mom used to pay for her utilities by going into the office of the utility, like going to like the water company office and having to pay through there, and the electric company, same thing. I always thought that that would be the way of things forever. But now I'm just very grateful that everything is just linked to my bank and it gets taken care of. I don't have it set to automatically take money out because I still like to personally manage everything, like how much did I spend this month on what, and I like to be on control on those things. But I always thought as a teenager, I looked at it as, wow, I got to prepare myself for when I have my own bills and then I have to be coming to these places to pay for it. It was insane, it was silly, and I'm just glad that I can do everything from home. And even with us doing all of that from home, I kind of get upset by the people who like to complain that they don't have time in their day to do things, because I'm thinking we live in an age where you can have your food delivered to you. So you don't have to actually drive to the grocery store, however long that may take, with traffic included and lights and everything. And you don't have to actually browse around for your groceries, nor do you have to stand in the line for your groceries and then load them onto your car and then go home. Like everything is delivered to you. And on top of that, you don't have to set aside a day to take care of these things like adult responsibilities, such as paying your bills by going to an actual edifice and having it taken care of. So why are we so bad with our time management in present days? What would you rather be doing? What are you actually doing? And the people who tend to complain about how modern days are tough in that regard, I kind of don't get it. But especially if you're a parent, I would think that this helps you to manage your time a little better and perhaps spend more time with your kids and stuff. But the way some people express themselves online, I'm thinking, I really think that you don't know how to use your resources to your advantage. Or maybe you do know how to use them, but you're not seeing the bigger picture of how this is actually benefiting you. So I don't want to be too harsh on these people. I don't understand what being a parent is because I am not one. But I remember when I was a kid and I remember what mom had to do, and she got everything done and she still had time for herself. So, what is the modern parent lacking? I think it's organization, but whatever. But what are they truly lacking to where with all of these commodities that we possess now that our parents didn't, we have room to complain about not having time. And I know that some folks out there, work is what takes up most of their time, especially during times like these when you have to be working 2 jobs or whatever it is that you have to do. But when it comes to your home life, really? Like, is it still that difficult? And I also saw a post of someone complaining about all the chores that they have to do at home. And there was this topic that was trending about a week ago about women who have had to leave their careers behind and their husbands continue to work. And then they're upset that their husbands are still working, but they're not being supportive of their career ending decisions. Like, well, since I'm the mom, I have to look after the kids and I need to manage the home, just like the good old days, right? And then the women are upset that the men are not usually the ones to have to give up their careers, and that at home they don't get much support. They were literally saying that my husband is not as useful as he thinks he is. And I'm thinking, okay, this is the guy who works 8 to 12 hours and at least gives you the resources to be able to resolve the issues at home and is still working. Someone needs to keep working. And if he's the primary breadwinner, why would you want for him to give up his career? And I don't know about you, but I take great pride in being the manager of my home. Like, as a female, I think that's just what's in my brain. Like, taking care of people is my instinct. That's what I do. And my home is an extension of that because this is like my sanctuary, my temple. So why would I not be happy that I actually have the support of a man to have the option of leaving my career, at least temporarily, and then take care of my home and take care of the kids? It's almost like you're not proud of your womanhood. But I was raised in the old ways, so maybe that's why I tend to conflict with the way the modern days are treated. Maybe I'm just stuck in some time capsule situation and I haven't matured to be a modern woman. But I just really, really try to understand, and it doesn't help that I struggle with empathy, but I only see the solution. And if you're really that upset that you're giving up your career, at least look at it as I get to spend more time with the kids. I get to spend more time at home, which not everybody has the privilege of being able to stay at home and not feeling guilty about it. I don't know about you, but as female, I know that I have my limitations. So if I were expected to work 12 hours or so, I would come here borderline dead. That is not an enjoyable way to live life. And if your husband is saying, I will do whatever it is that you say, the sole fact that this guy is saying that he's willing to let you make the decisions, that speaks a lot on itself. So let the man do manly things and you do your womanly things. What is wrong with that? So anyway, I know I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but what I'm trying to say is that even if you feel like you're wasting time off your career, what is it about your career that drives you so much that you are resentful that you have to abandon it for a certain period of time? Is it because you want money? Like, seriously, what is it that you need? What is it that you want? What are you pursuing that you are so money hungry? That's what I would like to understand. So I cannot deem you giving up on your career temporarily as a waste of time. So that actually conflicts with the list that I'm trying to produce here, which is this is a list about time wasters, but I had to include that in here because I want to bring it up as that's not wasted time. If you're spending that time with kids and being at home, keeping your home together, I don't think that's a waste of time. And if your man is coming back from being out working, why would you not find pleasure in, okay, he can contribute at home as much as possible, however he can, but I have always associated that house things is a female thing, but it doesn't mean that the guy cannot do anything. Like it's not like you cannot take out the trash. It's not like you cannot keep some things tidy yourself. But what are the demands and expectations? Unless the guy is actively vandalizing the house, then I can understand if you're upset. And please have some discipline and maybe try cleaning the dishes after yourself as opposed to letting everything pile up and then you're spending like an hour and a half washing dishes unnecessarily. I think that is a bit extreme. But for the most part, what happens in your home that gets so out of control that you cannot handle it and you're resentful that you don't have time for other things in your day, you know? So if you can answer that for me and convince me, then sure, I'll be on your side and I'll give men hell for being that way. But I only see someone who seems to be lacking a degree of discipline. But again, because I'm not a parent, I do not know what the chaos of being a parent is. But I'm just saying that I see so many tools out there that exist to aid you in time management, but you still have room to complain somehow. That is what I want to understand. Where is that coming from? Um, Another thing that I thought about was when we are at work and we spend time scrutinizing people. Um, it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's not a waste of time if you're looking at someone and thinking of ways that they can improve their performance, but sometimes we like to pick at things that are really relevant, and it has to do more with the personality of a person as opposed to how their personality is impacting their performance. If you can prove to me that the way someone thinks or is or their political affiliation is impacting their performance negatively, then you're onto something. But if you just like to waste time picking on someone just because of personality things, but you cannot prove to me that that makes their performance suffer, then I don't want to be a part on that. If you tell me that this person's inability to manage stress is making them make mistakes very often at their job, then I can be like, okay, that personality is something that is induced environmentally. So let's help this person at dealing with that so that naturally their work performance is going to improve. If you're in a better mindset, you're more likely to perform better. That I can get behind. But just scrutinizing people for the sake of scrutinizing them, I don't have time for that and I don't want to take part on it. And then this is a classic, but another thing that I am absolutely guilty of this. I waste so much time on is waiting for replies. Like sometimes I send a message to someone and I'm thinking this is urgent, I want an immediate reply. And then, that reply doesn't come until like 30 minutes later, an hour later, 2 hours later, a fucking day later. And all that time that you waited just eagerly expecting the reply that never arrived in a timely fashion. I wish that I could control that better about myself. Like the anticipation and expectation that I'm waiting on someone to get back to me. Even if the matter is not that important, whether it's important, semi important, or not important at all, something about the way that the device is structured to keep me hooked to my messaging app or social media and things like that. I fucking hate that. I don't understand what it is about expecting a reply and that stress of being conditioned into most people communicate with you via a cell phone, and the cell phone is mostly on them at all times. Something about that, we have become really, our behavior has been altered to adapt to this way. And I hate that because I used to not be like that. I used to be the person who's sure I can send a message, and if you see it, that's fine. If you don't, fine. If you reply to it, fine. If you don't, that's great. But now it's like, what's happening? And at least I've learned to let go, and sometimes I am actually the one on the perpetrating side of this. I tend to be the one now who goes like half a day without talking to anyone on my phone, even though some messages I did notice immediately, but then I got caught up doing something else, or I was driving, and then for some reason the thought left my mind. I had to train myself to be that way because I kept catching myself feeling that anxiety of, did I finally get the reply? Did I finally get the reply? Did I finally get the reply? And then there's nothing. And that mess, I said, that is not who I am. That's not how I'm supposed to be. I need to take control of that because it's getting ridiculous. But yeah, I have been that person who wastes time waiting for someone to get back to me. And then I need to train myself to just be old school. If I really needed someone that immediately, how about if I just call? Why do I hate calling so much? Anytime I have an issue that requires for me to call a company or something, I feel like I have to plan for this. Like, sure, I'm gonna call tomorrow after work, and these are the questions that I have, and I need to make sure that I ask about this and that because I don't want to do this again. And sometimes you have to wait on the 1-800 number. You have to wait for someone to be available, your next available agent, to like help you. But something about calling pisses me off. If they have an email version or a social media way to reach out to them, I do it that way. I prefer that over calling, even though calling is more instantaneous, because I just don't want to be hooked to the phone waiting for someone to answer me. So I feel like my behavior has just been altered to be against these things that seem to be a more natural way to get this done. But anyway, I'm going to catch up with the comments and see what's happening. You are wise. You are the 1% of females who are cool AF. I appreciate that. And interestingly enough, today I happened to receive a comment of someone who is simply a non-believer. I'm not going to spoil what the matter was about, but I may make it in stream form or video form. I haven't decided yet, but there's just this person who I really think has a case of some kind of PTSD, and then they're trying to use it on me or something, like let it out on me. And I'm like, hold your horses. You need to understand that there is a huge planet out there, and that you're limiting yourself to your community, put it that way. But anyway, sometimes I think I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I know who I am and what I am and how I am. But sometimes when someone has the erroneous picture of you, you want to rectify that in a sense. But the older I get, the more I learn that I like for my actions to speak. Even if someone may not witness what those actions are, I don't need validation. I mean, we live in a culture that seems to promote that. Like when you're a little kid, they say, good job, Johnny, good job, Phoebe, this and that. And like so much praising and celebration and everything. Just learn to do shit without expecting any credit or any recognition for it. Some people get rewarded and just celebrate it for no reason. You know that this lazy ass person did something for the first time ever, and then they're getting absolutely celebrate it. Whereas you do much more than that person and you don't even get appreciated for it. I used to resent that. I used to be that person. I used to be that person who's like, that's not fucking fair. I do much more, much better, much quicker, and all that. But at the end of the day, I said to myself, what is wrong with me? Why do I care about that? What matters is that I can go home feeling proud about what I have accomplished and who I am and what I am. But it does get annoying because you think of it as an injustice. And I had to train myself to stop giving a damn about that. And when I stopped giving a damn about that, I became happier. But unfortunately, it's not something that is promoted. It's not encouraged even. It's not like someone gave me the advice to be that way. I had to discover that on my own. And it's not like I'm saying that my way of being is the way that is absolutely correct. But for anyone out there who's struggling with feeling the way that I used to feel, just learn to let it go, because I have not regretted letting it go. And now it's like I was given a different pair of glasses, and you know that I need my glasses. But now I see things from this perspective and I feel much better and happier, and I just feel like I wasted a lot of time feeling that way. And because I felt that way, I gave myself a negative energy to be unwilling to do things because I was mad and agitated and irritated, and that was stealing my energy. And now I don't have energy for productivity because my mood is stealing it from me. Now it's like, take it one thing at a time and make sure that you're investing your time on the things that truly matter. Because when I think about it, the fact that this person got credited with an accomplishment that is, it's not even an accomplishment, it's you're finally fulfilling your basic duty, but you're being celebrated for it. I look at it as, at least I know that that's not the stage that I'm at, and go on with it, because at least you possess the skills, whereas this person is just getting started now, even though they may have just as much or more experience than you do. But sometimes I want to prove them wrong, like, no, you should be able to see that I get much more done and you're not celebrating me. What's that about? But you never know. Maybe these people get celebrated to entice them into building up from their level, which I think it's dumb. You shouldn't need to be bribed into doing what it is that you're supposed to do. Like, you shouldn't be rewarded extra for finally doing your job. But I like for time to do its thing. If this person was really deserving of all that credit, then time will reveal it. Because there have been people who, sure, they got all the praise and celebration and promos and whatnot, but they ended up being let go of over other things. Whereas I'm still, around. So anyway, I learned to kind of read between the lines, and not everything positive is what it looks like. But anyway, let's see. Another comment is, this is why feminists contradict themselves only until 2018. I've seen a bunch of females actually working in men heavy work. Still most women won't work top 10 dangerous jobs, even though we made these male driven jobs more accessible for females. And see, when it comes to that issue, I have said this before and I will say it again. Why, if you don't like this manly society, this male society so much, if you dislike it that much, why is it that you're going to go to the very men to get them to resolve the issues that we're experiencing? If you're really proud about your female capabilities and capacity and all that, I would think that you would come up with your own solutions and execute them themselves. But somehow you're still demanding the man, you're still begging for them to solve issues for you. So is there really an issue? Why do you feel like you want to be more represented in certain fields if by your own merit You're not making it there. So maybe perhaps look at it as, if this is a male dominant field, maybe I need to accept coaching and advice and training and polishing from the men who have been in this field since the dawn of time. Maybe that's just an idea. It may be a very radical idea, but that is the way I would handle it. Like, sure, I'm absolutely ignorant about this. I happen to have an interest, but let me shadow you to make sure that this is truly what I want, because I may be looking at it from the prestige point of view, but I may not know what being in this role actually entails. I may find out that I actually hate it. I used to truly, truly, truly believe that I wanted to be a geologist until someone opened my eyes and they told me, "Oh, you want to be a geologist? Here, let's go outside." We went out into the field, and the field was very like harsh, merciless, and I said, there is no way that I could do this full time. And on top of that, how much you need to invest when it comes to your education and the consequences that'll have on your body and all those things. And I had no issue admitting that I may not be in the best shape mentally or physically to handle that job. And I am okay with that. It doesn't mean that I don't love geology anymore. It doesn't mean that I cannot appreciate the field anymore. I just had to accept that there were certain obstructions that I shouldn't try to overcome because it may be overwhelming in the future. How many people out there have gone out for something and ended up regretting it? Maybe I would have been that person. I would have been the person to regret the thing that I think I love so much. I would have regretted it. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're trying to convince people that your output can be exactly the same, that's what I have problems with. You need to convince me that that's truly the way things are. But yeah, I think that us in this culture, the culture of the United States, America needs to be fucking humbled, big time. And I'm not sure in what way, shape, or form that may happen, how that can happen, but we really, really, really could use some humbling. But oh well. To get ready still would take me 15 minutes, but I like my beauty sleep. Did I skip something? Oh, okay, here I am. If I have a wife, I don't want her to work a job, just use my money, take care of the kids, and work at home. I am a traditional male. I want to come home from a long shift at work, play with the kids, and love my wife. I am way too traditional. If my wife made more money than me in her career and we have kids, I don't mind her taking care of the kids. I don't mind taking care of the kids at home. I would just figure out to make money at home and teach my kids how to be a scientist. Most women message me at around midnight or later, booty call or not. It is annoying. I am in bed. I would have to front flip in the shower and back flip in the closet to get ready. I am halfway, I guess, done to get ready. Still, it would take me 15 minutes, but I like my beauty sleep. And see, we live in this age of fucking loneliness. I suffer from it too. Like that time of the day from like twilight until midnight or past midnight. It's insane. We don't have that bond, that connection, that how can you call this? The ritual that you must perform to signal the body that it's time to get your rest. We are really, really, really restless in this fucking society. And we really do that to ourselves. There's no other way of saying it. And it's really, really sad. But when it comes to this whole movement that we're seeing, I can see what it's trying to do. But I think that the things you're trying to do are things that are already there, but you don't know how to identify it. And you want to declare something as oppressive when it really isn't. And you have to discover the hard way that that you have life pretty simple, pretty easy. You have inherited a good life because someone laid the foundation for you generations ago. And the best way for me to illustrate this would be like, sometimes you get these anti-male topics, right? The topics that say about how much men could be doing for women and how much more the men need to do for women because women have it rough and whatnot, right? But then later, you come up with this topic talking about how men don't do enough for you, and to counter that, you say, well, our men don't want to do things for us. Our men are simply giving up on the woman, and our men are not there. They're not supportive. They're not as supportive. They're demanding more of us, and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, so is the guy a piece of trash or is he not a piece of trash? You cannot have it both ways. You cannot be begging for a man to help you and to date you and everything, but when you have him, you don't appreciate him, and somehow you want him to stick around and still give you stuff. Like, I just don't understand, man. I feel like we have not been brought up to understand roles and why it's important to have those roles. Those roles exist as a balancing act. And I don't have any issue with that. I know that by nature I will, unless the guy has like something going on, by nature I will be weaker than the average male, and that it's okay. I don't have a problem with that. But some females out there are trying to tell me that that is a problem, and I want them to explain to me and prove to me why that is and how that is. And if I had a guy who was willing to work and let me be at home and serve as a manager, I guess, like Garuda is saying, I would feel so fulfilled in my life. Like, wow, amazing. It's not like I take pride in not having to contribute much to society, but the fact that someone is saying, I know that working is particularly difficult for you because you by nature are not designed to withstand the demands of being employed full time. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. You stay at home, be comfortable, like take care of yourself, your well being. It's my priority. That is amazing. This is a person who's willing to give you everything, but somehow you're finding a way to complain about that. And when you say divorce or something, you want to take everything from the man, even though the man was the one who worked for that. Like, this is his own merit. This is his accomplishments. But he has voluntarily ceded that to you. Do you not have any fucking honor, respect, dignity? Like, we need to be taught values, personality traits, character. I think that is what modern days are lacking. We probably are being mentioned what those traits are, but we're not given examples of how those translate into real life. It's like when you learn the theory about something, let's say you learn mathematics, but you're like, oh, how am I going to use this in my real life after school? So you have to be given real world examples for you to piece it together. Because if you just get taught the theory of it, but you don't know under what circumstances the concept will need to be applied, then the lesson may unfortunately get lost. It's no different when it comes to your social life. You need to be shown real life examples of how these quality traits, character traits, personality traits, valued traits are exercised in the real world. Because clearly it's not something that is easy to see. It's not common sense. You may learn the lesson, you may have the message in the back of your mind, but you wouldn't know how to identify it. If you were to see someone, let's say you see a teenager helping an elderly crossing the street, what do you label that act as? You wouldn't know how to say, oh, that is kindness, that is taking care of your neighbor, love thy neighbor, things like that. You wouldn't know how to put a label on that act. And of course, that is a very basic, easy act, but just to illustrate the point that you wouldn't know how to say someone is perseverant, someone is determined, someone, all those things that build people's character. And I find that really horrifying because that's why sometimes if we get talked trash about under certain circumstances, I think that we deserve it as young people. But I don't think we deserve it entirely because who raised us? What happened? Where did this get lost? Just like our managers, our leaders did not know how to handle the emergency that we are globally living through. So what happened to those managers? Where did the information get lost? Like, wow, you didn't think about something that could really, really alter the infrastructure and you would need to rely on more than what you have on a regular day. What if volume and demand increases? What would you do? I want people to learn to look into the future because some of the stuff that happened, we may look at it as common sense, but I think we get too prideful, and that's when disasters like these get out of control. It almost seems like a prideful thing. I agree. I worked a lot. The tiny few females who can handle their own weight at work, I love them. I would help them because one day I might need her help at work. And yeah, that's not to say that women cannot help themselves or accomplish anything. What I would like to see is for the pride to be let go of. That's it. Like, if you want to enter a male dominated field, you don't have to make it about you being female in a male dominated field. And if you are being picked on because you're a female, just let your actions speak. Okay, don't engage in battles with these people about, oh, well, uh, you're trying too hard. I feel like in life, you really don't have to try so hard. Stuff just happens. You just have to be there, be consistent, and stuff will just happen. But when we try to engage in these fights, it's just wild. It's wild to me. Hello, nice American flag. Are you voting for Trump? I'm not going to say who I'm voting for, but all I have to say is that I'm ready for the elections to be over, and I already voted. And, well, I guess I'll take that back. I will say who I voted for. I voted for none of the names that were on the ballot. I used the very last line, the line that has like a circle that the fill in, and then you have the space and it says write in underneath. I used the write in space because none of the folks who were up there talking, they don't represent me. And since when does having the US flag mean that's MAGA? Like, since when does this mean? I know that they wear it and exploit it all the time in ways that they're not supposed to. Like, one of the things you shouldn't do is wear the flag in clothing and stuff. Like, that's just disrespectful to it. Since when did this become a Republican symbol? Like, I don't know about you, but Democrats reside in America as well. And as American citizens, they have the flag as well. Like, if you had your nationality and you said, well, I was born in one of the states, this is the flag that represents you. Okay? It's not like it's a different flag or anything. And if we were to have like a new state or something added to it, we'll get a redesign. And this one will pass on to history. But it doesn't change the fact that this is that United States of America flag. It represents everybody who is American, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent, or whatever other alternative parties there are. Or if you're like me and you don't identify with any party, then, that's what you are. But yeah, I think it's crazy. I know that the Magans out there really like to like exploit the flag and whatnot, but yeah, just know that the United States flag means that I'm American. And then the Japanese flag means that my brother has been to Japan and he likes to keep flags of places that A, he's from, and B, he has visited. So there's a few flags around here. But yeah, I'm glad that you made that comment because that is actually one of my pending topics. I'm thinking I saw this trend this morning, or sorry, last night, about look at this fridge and determine if this is a Trump supporter or if this is a Biden supporter. And I'm like, you people create the stereotypes. Like the Trump supporter fridge was labeled as the one that was really messy, and it had like beer and water and pretty much junk food, brands that are associated with being like super artificial to the point that the food is not even real, it's borderline not real. Whereas the Biden supporter was the more vegan, more all natural, organic consumer, and cleaner fridge. Like, to me that's a form of propaganda. But but I look at it as, hey, this is the stereotype that these folks have generated on themselves to a certain extent, the way they have been shown on social media and exploited by the mainstream media. So, is it really bad for us to have these preconceived notions of these people? Maybe not. But I'm thinking, I know my handful of Trump supporters who have better, cleaner diets than I do. And I actually like to have a relatively good diet, except for the days that I eat fast food, which I like to document on this channel. And yeah, but it's insane, man. Yeah, these last 4 years have been revolutionary for the wrong reasons. But that's just my opinion. That's just me coming from the perspective of I miss the days when I could go maybe a year without seeing the president on my face, you know? Like, sure, you would hear about the president occasionally, maybe once a week, or if you tune into the news, sure. But I mean, this motherfucker is everywhere. Everywhere, just like what he is, a buffoon and an entertainer. So his oxygen is this attention and entertainment. And I hate it because someone who is in his position, the decisions that he makes actually affect my life and everybody's life. So I do have expectations of the way that you present yourself. And I do have kind of a pending topic about that, so I don't want to like ramble away on this topic. For that, I want to create its own separate stream or video, whatever form I decide to use. But there's some stuff out there that is important for you to be treating it like like it's like it's your Saturday night entertainment. It's just not right. Um True, I love helping up old people across the street. I once helped an old person on their motor wheelchair and who accidentally was stuck on the sidewalk when they drove off. I basically told him, don't use the motor. I will push you and walk. After 2 store visits, I started to run with him on the chair. He went from my elder to my friend. He even took me to bingo. Sadly, he died from old age. I never realized how cool some elders are. I miss him. You know, now that you say that, one of the things that pains me is the fact that all of my grandfathers are gone. Like, the only one I had left passed on in 2005. And it really, I really feel the void because you guys know that I have daddy issues. So my grandfather was like the only truly man figure that I had to look up to and respect. And ever since he was gone, it coincides with around the time that the family really started falling apart. It's like we lost a patriarch, and now, sure, the next in line who should have been the patriarch, it's not reliable. That's the best thing I can say. Because, you know, I'm not going to shred my uncle to pieces here online. But I'm just saying that his leadership is not as stable as what I learned to associate and appreciate from my grandfather. Like, I'm not trying to blame him for everything. I'm not saying that the family falling apart is his fault. I'm just saying that he may not have been equipped with the leadership skills that he should have had. And honestly, it's not that he doesn't have the traits, it's that he is not allowed to exercise his role by none other than the human being whom he shares his life with. That's all I gotta say. And we all know this. He knows it, but he chooses to not do something about it. So he would be the example of a guy who is stuck with someone who is no good, but they don't want to let the person go for whatever reason. And that disappoints me, and I cannot get behind that. That is not something my grandfather would have done, because my grandfather married the person that, he met since he was a teen. Did they actually get married? I actually don't think they got married, but they lived together the whole time. So I need to retract that. I need to confirm with mom, because I know that she herself asked, how come there are no pictures of your wedding? And of course, that's when, she found out. But I'm not sure if that was ever modified. So, but anyway, I would think so, because when he passed on, there were talks about how his belongings belong to my grandma now. So I guess it did legally happen. But yeah, another thing that I thought about that is a time waster is not getting up immediately upon awakening. I am guilty of this. Every day I wake up about 2 hours after, or excuse me, I get up about 2 hours after I woke up. And I hate that, because that means that my morning is gone, and from like afternoon to evening, that's about all the time that I have to invest in my actual day. And then evening through nighttime is gym time. And after that, it's the transition into going to bed and getting ready for the next day. So, and I have had a couple of days off in the past few days. And I'm telling myself, I think I am genuinely a person designed to be nocturnal, because last night I went to bed at fucking 4 a.m. and I was fine. I could have stayed awake for even longer. And I remember that 8 years ago, I used to do that regularly. I used to go to bed at 3, 4, 5 a.m. and then sleep in the daytime and then get up in the afternoon. And I was okay. I genuinely felt okay and all right. Like, I could function. I was cool. But then I got used to working in the mornings. And I like mornings because they tend to be quiet. Everybody's working. And traffic is virtually non-existent except for work-related traffic. And it's really nice, and it's not too hot, too bright, too perfect. But I never go out in the mornings. I can only vividly, actively remember going to, say, Walmart in the morning just one time. And other than that, the only time I may be out is if I'm driving somewhere that's really, really far. Like, say, the 4 hour drive to the beach that I may have to do, which I haven't done it in my time as an adult, but I remember that stuff like that is what needs to happen in order for me to be out at the crack of dawn in my personal time, not because, work forces me to. And it's sad because mornings are amazing. Every time I do something in the morning, I love it so much. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this more often. But I just crash back to my owl cycle. That's why I set two alarm clocks. One is regular and the other has the most annoying sound ever. And I put it across the room so I have to get up at that time. I am so annoyed I cannot go back to sleep. Dude, that doesn't work for me. I tried it one time. Someone suggested to me, set another alarm for like 3 minutes apart and put it on the other side of the room. I will get up, hit off on the alarm, and crash back in bed. And it doesn't do anything for me. I'm still wasting my time. I'm still laying down and possibly crashing again. That is not a deterrent for me. And I think it's because I have energy, like naturally. I'm always energetic. I cannot make myself tired even if I wanted to. Even if I wanted to not be moving, I cannot not be moving unless I'm doing something, a sedentary activity such as watching a movie, playing a game, or reading, or streaming. But I never feel fucking tired. And sure, even when I try to trick myself into having two alarms so that I get up, and since I'm already up, I don't want to lay back down, that doesn't deter me at all. Like, I can very merrily get back to bed. And I said, okay, this kind of psychology trick doesn't work on me. And I find that the only way I can make myself get up on time, and this is a massive maybe, so let's put a star by it, is if I am looking forward to something. Let's say I'm looking forward to breakfast. I'm looking forward to mailing out a package or something. I'm looking forward to maybe going to the gym in the mornings, like years ago I used to. Something like that. If I don't have anything to look forward to, forget it. My day is lost. It's over. And that's why I really don't have much memories. Like, sure, I'm a young person, but I've never done anything like significant or worthy of telling. I've done more traveling in my mind than I have physically, you know? And I feel like I feel peaceful about it, but at some point I feel like I might regret it. Like, I'll be resentful that I didn't do more with my time while I was young, but I'm thinking, why does that have to change? Why do I have to act like after a certain age I'm condemned to just die, you know? I don't believe that it's ever too late to do something unless it's very obvious that it's too late to do something. Like, say, if you wanted to be a competitive athlete, please don't wait until you're 70 years old to get yourself in shape to compete. You know, that would be extreme. But to illustrate the point, um, yeah, that mess doesn't work on me. So I could probably have a lineup of like three different phones, like at different points in the room, maybe one outside the room, and I'll still be like, a bear, and crash back to bed because I have done it before many times. I am nocturnal also. When the sun rises, I can feel the star and start yawning and get sleepy as fuck. I was also a truck driver. Google Screaming Eagle. When that goes off, you won't be able to sleep for 2 hours. That bad boy is disturbingly loud. You mean the sound of an actual screaming eagle, or is that a song? Think of it, I'm not even sure what sound an eagle makes. I know what sound hawks make, but have I really heard an eagle before? I know that they use that sound effect in movies and stuff, but how accurate is that? Anyway, um, let's see. Oh, right. Another thing that I consider a waste of time is stuff that you do out of vanity. Now, there is stuff that you can do that looks like it's out of vanity, that is actually something that supports your health. Like, if you have a ritual for taking care of your hair, taking care of your skin, and things like that, nothing to object. I do hope that you take a shower. That's good for you and your skin and all that, depending on how you do it. But stuff like getting your nails done and getting your hair done and getting your face caked up and wasting hours on something that elaborate every single day, that is an absolute waste of time. The only way I can get behind that is if something happens and the presentation that's decent is encouraged. Like, the last time I remember I put effort into my appearance was for the funeral of my boyfriend's father. And what I did was I got my hair done and I put on no makeup, But I do remember that I got my hair done and it was simply just drying it and giving it like a straight appearance. And I actually went shopping for clothes for this occasion. And of course, put a neat outfit on. But that entire stunt, I got my hair done the day before. Actually, no, I got it done that same morning. It was mom did whatever my hair needed to, and then I was using the dryer, and that was it. I I usually take about, let's see, depending on my hair length, if it's about as long as I have it now, it usually takes about 40 minutes to dry. But if I have it at what I consider full length, which is like anything below my shoulder blades or my delt or something, I would say it takes about 50-ish minutes. The longest I've ever been on the dryer has been an hour and 10 minutes. And that was when my hair was ungodly long, like go down to like my butt kind of long. And I felt like that was very minimal because while my hair is drying, I can actually multitask and do some other things, such as be on my phone or read. Back when I was in school, the few times that I did it, I would do my homework while my hair was drying. And the other times I would pass the time by playing video games. and it really, really made those 40 minutes not feel like it was a long time. But this is a 40-minute thing that will last me 3 days. But after those 3 days, it's not like I'm obsessing about, oh my God, I need to get my hair done again. And it's not like I had to brush my hair and do something crazy to it. All it was the drying was over, and I would take off the stuff on my hair and brush it and be on my way out. So it's not like I put myself together with makeup and nails and everything. My mom wanted me to. She said, well, at least cover your scar, maybe apply a little bit of shadow. And I said, Mom, not happening. Because what if I start crying? I have to be looking all gothic with like the black tears running down my eye. Just no. I go there to mourn and to support my boyfriend's family. So I really don't think that unless I go there wearing some kind of pineapple outfit, I don't think they're gonna care about what I look like. They're just gonna care that I'm there and I'm providing my support. But yeah, stuff like that, artificial things like that, like getting your nails done, getting your makeup done, and getting your hair done, they are a waste of time, and I will always think that they are a waste of time. So maybe going back to something I said earlier, if you have been around for that long in the stream, maybe that's one of the things that women waste their time on, and they are resentful that they don't get to do those female things, and they value that so much that because that takes up a lot of their time, they are resentful that they're not getting supported with their easy chores at home to have time for this. And to me, it's strange that you're complaining about having to do chores at home when I don't know about you, but the skill level required to get your stuff done at home, it ain't much. The demand isn't much. You don't need to know math. You don't need to be able to lift 50 pounds or more. You don't need to be there at like 4 a.m. in the morning cleaning things. Like, really? Is it really that tough for you? When I think about it like that, that's when I find that objectionable. Like, no, I cannot relate to your struggle as a female not having time. What are you wasting your time on? But you really value that so much, the vanity and the culture that we live in about appearance, that if that's what you're mad that you don't have time for, oh well, girl, at least you had your youth and you did this stuff when you were young. So just learn to identify that some things when you're an adult with responsibilities, you may need to let go of in the name of investing those time that time and resources. Because let me tell you, if you go to get your nails and hair and makeup professionally done, from what I see online, that costs a pretty penny. So why not be like, you know what, whenever I do pamper myself, I enjoy it, but it's not something that I have to sustain. It's not something that you need to be doing on the regular, you know? But anyway, you guys, I guess that is a topic that I will always be like, um I guess from a female perspective, I will be absolutely a party pooper with, because I have someone at work who's always telling me, when are you gonna let me do your makeup? When are you gonna let me do your hair? When are you gonna let me pick out your outfits? And I'm like, never! That you asked me this last week. You asked me this last month, last year. You've been asking me this whole time, and I have always said never. What makes you think that tomorrow my answer is going to be different? You don't get it, do you? So this one comment, this person that I told you guys about, that someone left me earlier today, that's kind of the mindset. Like, nah, I insist you're going to fail at this because everybody does. And I'm thinking, no, you need to understand that I'm not everybody. But anyway, I don't have to prove anything to this person or anybody, but I really hate it that you really lack that much faith. Like, yes, I am a female, I am a woman, I am proud of that, but just because I am proud of that doesn't mean that I have to represent it in the manner that you all do, which is, like, you cannot even hold on to a man for more than 2 months and all of those things. That's just not me. I don't need to be trying 100 partners before I settle for one person. Okay, I have my different way of looking at it. Just respect it in the same manner that I respect yours, even though I may come here and discuss how I disagree with the way that you do things. But just because I disagree with it doesn't mean that I'm trying to get in the way of you manifesting your life. If that's what you want to do, you go right ahead and do it. I'm just telling you that I can foresee the consequences that is going to have. So don't come back here complaining about how your life is complicated, because it isn't. You're just making poor choices. And everything in life needs to be a discipline. Your body. You think your body does not come with a set of rules? Like, if you don't give it the right nutrients, it's going to start falling apart on you. If you don't exercise it properly, it's going to start falling apart on you. So the social aspect of life is no different. You need to communicate with people. You need to find out about how they are, where they're at, how they feel, in order to cultivate relationships. If you don't cultivate relationships, you cannot expect for things to go well with you and between you and people. It's really simple. Life is really that simple. But somehow we forget that. And that's why I said earlier, I can only speak for us as Americans, but we really need to be humbled. We really do. Where am I at? I love me females without makeup and fake things. I am tired of females pretending they put on makeup for themselves. It is weird. Stop putting war paint on your face. And see, another thing is shoes. Why would you wear something that isn't really practical? And then you're complaining about your feet hurting and your back hurting and all those things. Perfectly preventable. And then there are videos out there that talk about the struggle of the female attire, and I'm thinking, you're struggling because you want to, you enjoy that, but you want to get people's sympathy, empathy. You're trying to trigger emotions in people that we shouldn't have, because it's choices you are making. I mean, the Western woman, at least, we have a lot of fucking choices. But we are mad when we make the wrong choice, and we want to put the blame on someone else for our choices. You have to convince me that other people are responsible for that, and it's not you. inflicting this damage on yourself, you know? That's what I'm saying. You really need to convince me. I really don't know how else to put it. Get out of the way. Get out the way, creature. Where is my babe of a female girlfriend? I refuse to let my lady of interest get doled up for friends or family. I want the planet to see my love with our old scars, our birthmark. I am vastly far from shallow. And see, there are things that occasionally I see and I'm like, oh, that terrifies me. Like, I had the biggest pimple ever, like on this side, and there still remains of it. But it's not like, wow, my life is ending because of this. And on top of that, wearing the mask helps conceal it. But it's not like I felt, wow, I really need to hide this and I need to make sure that this goes away. Something like that. Shit happens. My face gets contaminated. My skin gets irritated. And it does its stuff to combat it. And it takes time for it to clear up, or maybe it won't clear up. Just stop freaking out. I want to live in a society where people don't freak the fuck out over things. And I think that I was finding myself irritable for the past month, and I feel like that was the root cause of it. I was letting these things get to me even though they shouldn't. And then finally, the last thing that I thought about that is a waste of time is when you communicate things on a one-on-one basis, as opposed to communicating things as a group. And the best example that I can think of to illustrate this is at work, for instance. Sometimes we have, let's say you have a manager who comes over to you and says, hey, you're going to get these kinds of apples, use this code because this other code is not working. And then you received this information yesterday, but only now are you deciding to communicate it. And let's say that yesterday we were all together, like we were more staff, there was more people in the team. Why not go ahead and communicate that when you have a handful of people? Or better yet, when it's dead. Sometimes we have periods where we go 20 minutes without anybody going through the checkout. How about if you say, all right, everybody, socially distant, but huddle up. This is what's happening. Everybody gets the same information at the same time. And if Johnny asks a question that is relevant to the matter, and it's an issue that may come up later, you answer the question then, and we all get the answer to that question, as opposed to, Johnny and Felix and so got the answer, but Zam didn't because her and Ashley and all these other people were on the other side and they didn't catch it. And it doesn't occur to you to communicate it to me immediately. Stuff that is information that affects a group of people should be communicated as a group, as opposed to one-on-one, individually. And you swear that you went to someone to tell them and you didn't tell them. Or sometimes, this has happened too, you walk around with a clipboard checking off names of people who have completed things and whatnot, and you end up checking off the wrong name. I had my name checked off of a training that I never did. And then they were telling me about it, like, oh yeah, so how did the training go? What training? Oh, this and that. What is that? I've never heard of that. Oh, but your name is crossed out. That means you took it. I'm like, no, I'm telling you I didn't. So stop telling me that I did do something that I didn't do, and I'm telling you I didn't do. You know, so stuff that should be communicated to a group, it really should be communicated as a group for a group, as opposed to one-on-one individually. Put one person in charge of communicating this stuff, because someone is going to drop the ball somewhere and you may not catch it until it's too late. Let's see. Jimmy is saying hello. Hello, Jimmy. Just saying hello. Have work right now, but notice that you're live right now. Have a great day. Have a great day. You too have a great day. It's good to see you. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it from me. I don't possess anything else on my cheat sheet of time wasting topics. And I know I went off on a tangent a few times, but that's what I do. And yeah, you guys, I'm eager to find out what's going to happen on Tuesday, because no matter what the results are, there's going to be some pissed off people out there. And I just don't know what to expect. Either way, the outcome is going to be, what can I say, impactful. Like if the Donald wins, then I guess the same feelings that we saw 4 years ago are going to come back, but really intensified. But then if the Biden wins, you know, the stuff that has been going around and trending about him, all that stuff is going to get amplified as well. And the folks who had found their newfound power because of idolatry, like following the Donald and whatnot, what are those folks going to do? You know, how are they going to react? Because at least in past presidencies, debates and stuff seemed more civil and more professionally conducted. And I just don't know what to expect. Just like the holiday season this year, I do not know what to expect. Are we going to be just as busy? Are we going to be less busy? Are we going to be busier? How are we going to handle it with social distancing? Are we going to let that go out the window? And my safety, for instance, as an employee, is that going to be disregarded? And you'll be like, nah, you know, no more social distancing. We don't care. You have to be put out there. You know, the discussion has been going around, and it worries me because we don't have a plan. And I'm thinking, all right, just as long as you show some humanity, we're going to be okay. But I'm eager and scared and nervous and terrified and excited because, you know, it's an inconvenience that lasts like 3 months. Like you have Thanksgiving and then Christmas and then New Year's. And then Valentine's Day, it's not really that wild, but it's one of the weaker holidays. But Thanksgiving is like the main holiday. So, you know, November is next week, and I really don't know what to expect. When is the rush going to start this year? Or has it started? And I just do not know. But I will try to keep you guys posted about it. It would be worth to perform my virtual journaling through this medium, because this is something that needs to be recorded for posterity, because it's some interesting times that we live in. Interesting and scary. What about Lovecraft Country? Have you seen it? I have not. Doesn't sound familiar at all. And see, one of my issues sometimes when people tell me things, have you heard about this? Have you seen that? You know who this and that is maybe I have seen it, but I don't recognize it as such. Or maybe I have listened to it, but I wouldn't know who the name of this person is, you know, the performer. And it's sad because I feel like I should know more than just sticking to my community of music. But anyway, music and TV shows and movies, more than likely I've never seen or heard of something that you bring up. But anyway. All right, guys. Well, that's it from me. I have to bail now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon enough, hopefully.